sometimes I really feel like when I get there that there's nothing that they can do that can surprise me, and then they do. So, like, how great is that?
How you doing, everybody? Welcome back to Foos Files, the podcast for fans of the Foo Fighters. It's Dan here. Hope you're all doing great. And I'll start with an apology first of all, because you've probably noticed I am a day late. We normally release the episode on a Wednesday. It's now Thursday. Fell behind a little bit. I have been on my travels this week, and while I did plan to create this episode while I was on the move, just couldn't find the right time and space to do it. So back home now, catching up with things. The Take Cover tour obviously got underway last Wednesday in Oslo. So this episode is heavily tour focused. We've got not one, not two, not three, but 4 guest contributors this week who've been out and about at the shows across Europe. So really excited to hear their take on what they've seen and heard so far. So if you're not into spoilers, then perhaps turn off now. But you know what? If you are the sort of person that listens to this podcast, you've probably started watching all the clips and checking the set lists anyway. And by all accounts, the tour does look absolutely great, doesn't it? I think the song choices that they've brought out and some of the swaps that they've done between the various shows have been a bit of a revelation. Marigold is in there. They're doing this acoustic section with Wheels and sometimes Under You as well. There's a little catwalk to go to a middle stage for the acoustic section. And the other big talking point has been the band introduction section, because, I don't know, this is often a part of the show that a lot of people get frustrated with, because they kind of say, well, hang on, instead of having 10 minutes of jamming, they could just play another couple of Foo Fighters songs. But from what we've seen and heard so far, this has been a really interesting section of the show, because they're paying homage to the earlier careers of all the individual band members. And you've probably also seen as well Dave and Ilan doing the little swapsy, and Ilan's coming up and playing guitar, which, again, that is a real revelation. And the other thing that you'll hear shortly from people who've been at the shows is that the lights and visuals have been absolutely top-notch too. Because, I mean, I've been to plenty of Foos shows, and that visual element that you get with a lot of other bands, it's never been something that you would say is particularly memorable about a Foo Fighters show. It's always been a straight-up rock and roll show. It's been about the interaction between the band and the crowd, which they do an amazing job of, obviously, but you don't always get a lot of bells and whistles thrown in. So that looks like it's going to be a really interesting feature of this tour, or it has been so far if you've been lucky enough to get to any of the early shows. But anyway, that's enough from me. Let's bring in some of the people who were lucky enough to be there to see it all from the first week of the tour. So let's start with Oslo. We've got Dennis Greubel from Cologne in Germany and Sophie Chattaway from here in the UK, because they both travelled out to Oslo to see the opening night.
I wrote this song on the couch in 1990 when I had just joined Nirvana, and I was sharing a house with Kirk, and I had to be really quiet while he slept. And so I wrote this song on the couch, but we haven't played this motherfucker in a long time. It's called Marigold. It sounds like this.
Hi Dan, so I went to Oslo for the first night of the European leg, and I worked out on the flight over that it was actually my 27th Foo Fighters show, which is mad, but despite that I still came away feeling like I'd experienced something new, which is something that I really love about the Foo Fighters. You can just go to every show and you still don't get bored. There's always something that you don't expect, or, you know, some story that Dave pulls out the bag that you've not heard before. But one thing that really stood out to me for this show was how good the newer songs were sounding live. I wasn't expecting to hear Window in particular, but that was a really super fun song, and I love Dave's vocals on that record, so that was really nice to hear. I think my personal highlight had to be Marigold. I've never heard that song live before, so finally getting that felt really special. And it's just one of those songs that sort of quietly walks into the room and somehow lingers with you for hours afterwards. So that was just really cool. Can't describe how good that was to hear. Another moment from the gig that I always love is the band intros. So they've done a bit of a different thing for the band intros for this tour. They've shaken it up a bit. Obviously, good excuse to do that with Elan joining. But I really enjoyed Shifty's intro in particular because I was right on the rail in front of him. And hearing him play Invincible by No Use for a Name was absolutely awesome. I managed to get a video of it as well, so I've been reliving that moment all week since I got home. So, yeah, that was really, really good. I did get a sneaky peek at the set list, and it looked like they'd planned to play I'll Stick Around, which has to be one of my absolute favourites. So I was a tiny little bit gutted that I didn't get to hear that one, but genuinely, it's such a minor complaint. More than anything, though, the overall vibe in Oslo was just lovely. Everyone seemed happy to be there, really relaxed. And it was just really cool just to be part of that first night of the European run. So yeah, roll on shows 28 and 29 at Anfield, and keep up the good work with the podcast.
Alon, would you like to share some of your music with us?
Hi, Dan. Here's some thoughts about the past Foo Fighters show in Oslo. Something I read about and experienced is that people in Norway don't show up early to queue, and it was really like that. So I was there by like 8 to queue for front of stage, and I think by 10 or 12 we had 20 people there, and just a few more for when they opened the gate. So everything was really relaxed. The process to get on the field was easy. So once they opened the gate, I was able to luckily secure my favorite spot on Shifty's side in the corner view, which was perfect. And then from then on, it just went better and better. The pre-bands, they were fun to listen to. And then when Foo Fighters opened a little after 8, it was amazing. The huge stage they set up was a little too big for the arena. We talked to some from the staff before. They said, our arena is not made for that. But I think the next upcoming shows in bigger stadiums will be perfect. So huge stage, and the way they did the lighting and the videos when they opened with All My Life, I was amazed, and I just really enjoyed the show. And compared to the last couple of years where a lot of things sometimes seem to be similar or so, I think they really mixed up some stuff, put in new little features to songs, like Dave doing his Just Do It during Pretender, or even playing Generator again, which I haven't listened to in 15 years live. So yeah, it's been a good show, and they kept the energy high for about 3 hours. I was tired afterwards, but happy, and yeah, it was just a really, really good gig. And they seem to have a lot of fun playing. They have gathered their energy over the past months and years, so they haven't played big gigs, but they're ready for this tour, and they love being there. I mean, everybody smiled. They did a great band introduction, which I saw for the first time, that they showed videos and pictures of each member from their past in different bands and played songs, and I don't know, it was just very well perceived. And yeah, the set list, I think it had about 28 songs, so a mix from old and new. That was good. And the acoustic set itself, they played in front of the catwalk, the whole Foo crew together. I think I also haven't seen that. Maybe once, but yeah, it was just this very small stage, and so for the people over in the back, also good to see them a little closer, and playing Wheels, playing Marigold live. Yeah, the gig perfect for me, and now I'm looking forward to Munich. So I'm very fortunate to see them again during this tour, and already looking forward to it. Enjoy your shows you're going to. I don't know, maybe we'll meet up at some in the future. And yeah, thanks for reaching out. Cheers.
Great to hear from Sophie and Dennis, who set the scene for us there with the opening night in Oslo. And you'll notice Dennis mentioned the Munich show, which actually took place last night. So what we're going to do is roll that one into next week. So we'll take Munich and Paris, which is taking place tomorrow night. We'll take those two together in terms of doing the recap. Sticking with the Scandinavia theme now, our next contributor, Rebecca Clark, went to both the Oslo show and then Stockholm 2 nights later. Now, the real quirk of the Stockholm show was that it took place 11 years to the day that Dave fell off the stage and famously broke his leg, came back and played on, which obviously was also in Sweden. So that was a big talking point on the night of the gig. You'll also notice here from Rebecca that she's fast approaching a really, really huge, significant Foo Fighters concert milestone.
I need to tell you a little story. 11 years ago today, in Gothenburg, Sweden, I fell off the stage and I broke my fucking leg. That was 11 years ago today. Same day. How fucking weird is that? Coincidence? I don't think so. So tonight, I'm gonna sing this song real fucking hard. Because, honestly, I think it was my favorite Foo Fighters show we've ever had in our fucking lives.
Overall, Oslo and Stockholm, what a fantastic opening to the tour. Really fun set list across both nights and a good mix of old and new. I mean, I love that they're switching it up a bit more. It felt quite different to previous opening tours I've been to in recent years. Could be my age, but I really felt they're good energy this time, and you could really feel that they were having fun and really enjoying themselves, and the air was really electric in both the venues, really. I guess after 90 odd shows, not every show has to be the best ever. And I've had some really fantastic and quite unbelievable experiences and luck over the past 26 years. But Stockholm especially felt really special. And I think the best thing about doing the opening night in Oslo and the first run of new dates in general is that the band is sort of still getting into the swing of things, and they're really tight and they sound fantastic, but nothing's off limits. They're switching it up at the drop of the hat. They're adding new songs, they're taking songs away, and that's really exciting to be a part of. These were my 94 and 95th shows, so sometimes I really feel when I get there that there's nothing that they can do that can surprise me, and then they do. So how great is that? They're such a fantastic live band. The shows just fill you with such joy. The set lists have been absolutely brilliant at the Secret Show in Manchester and in London, and then obviously that's continued throughout these first summer dates, so it makes it really exciting for Anfield later this month. And it was really great to hear Under You acoustically. Obviously they didn't do that in Oslo, but Dave did it by himself in Stockholm, and it was really great that he said that they were open to trying stuff out, and they were sort of getting a feel of the crowd and a feel of things, and just doing what they fancied, really. And it was just great to think that kind of opens possibility to them mixing it up further and with more deep cuts across the tour, and it means hopefully we'll get 2 different sets in Liverpool. which will be really fun. Yeah, I just, I really enjoy going to the Scandi shows. I went to Oslo and Gothenburg in 2015 when Dave broke his leg, and then we also did the return show. I think it was in 2018 when they returned to Gothenburg, and that was really fun. I think the crowds are usually a little bit calmer in a way that you don't always get in the UK anymore. I mean, the Scandi crowds are still really passionate and loud and very involved, but there is just a very different vibe to the shows across Europe than there is in the UK. I guess they're just so much bigger in the UK. There's like an intimacy to Oslo. And to an extent Stockholm, although that arena felt huge in comparison. Yeah, I suppose the only negative really for me was that I had a Wednesday flight out. And then so I went straight to the show, and then I had a 6:30 a.m. flight back, which meant I was at the airport very early in the morning, and it took me the whole weekend to recover, which probably says more about my age than anything else. But yeah, really looking forward to the rest of the tour, and let's see if I can hit 100 shows.
I think it's fair to say that when Rebecca does finally hit 100 shows, that's going to be a whole separate podcast episode in itself. But thank you, Rebecca, anyway, for sharing your thoughts on Oslo and Stockholm. So then from opening up in Scandinavia, the band moved on to night 3 of the Take Cover tour, which took place in Poland in the city of Warsaw. And to tell us all about that one, we welcome back a familiar voice on the show. It's Maca Chocan, who travelled from Brussels to see the band in Warsaw on Monday.
Hi, Foo Files. This is Maca. I went to see the Foos in Warsaw on June 15. The whole experience was incredible, but at the same time pretty exhausting because the venue organization was awful. We queued since early morning, and when we had to enter the stadium, we had to run like crazy from our gate to the turnstiles. And then when we arrived to the turnstiles, the ticket scanners weren't working. So we were just stuck at the entrance for half an hour without knowing what to do. Only a few lucky ones were able to enter before the hundreds of others. But luckily, it all worked out because when they finally decided to open the turnstiles, I went in and I find my spot at the barricade on Shifty side. So I was pretty excited, pretty happy, very tired, but luckily I was together with an English couple from Manchester. Shout out to Hazel and Ron, who were the sweetest people ever, and they stood with me, and we enjoyed the whole thing together. So I met Hazel and Ron on the day before when we went to the stadium to just take a look. There was no early march in Warsaw, so we just walked around. We ran into the girls from Otoboke Beaver. Didn't want to take picture, but they were just nice. And after that, the following day, we met each other at the queue again. So we queued since early morning. All the thing with the organization happened, but luckily the 3 of us made it to the front. Otoboke Beaver was pretty great. Those girls can sing. They look really cute, but they can really sing. Royal Otis was also a good supporting band. And when Foos came on at exactly 8 p.m., I think all troubles went away and we kind of forgot about the whole organization thing. And we really enjoyed it. They played around 28 songs for 3 hours without stopping. Again, I was standing on Shifty's side and I wrote a sign for him that said, following Foos around Europe, and I crossed out Foos and I wrote Shifty, and he saw it on Instagram because I tagged him, and then he saw it at the gig and he pointed at me, so it was funny. I spent the whole gig kind of interacting with Dave because I was at the front on like Shifty side, and then Dave was kind of looking at me because I was shouting and screaming, and I had a sign asking for Something from Nothing, which is a song that I was really looking forward to hear. And Dave made a whole speech about them having a really big catalog and not being able to play all of the songs. And he said something like, next time we're going to play 150 songs and deliver like a 10-hour show. And of course, I was supporting the idea. Well, they play, of course, all the hits. The set list, I think, is pretty locked up. And they play Hey Johnny Park, which for me was a really nice surprise because they didn't play it in Stockholm, but they played in Oslo. They played around 28 songs for 3 hours without stopping. A nice surprise for me was during Monkey Wrench, because when Dave asked us to shout, we all shouted together. But before he shouted, like one last thing before I quit, I shouted while the whole stadium was in silence. And he heard me and he looked at me and he was like, "Oh, that was fucking nice. It sounds like you are in pain." And I wanted to die of embarrassment. It was really funny. And yeah, the whole thing was really joyful.
Cool. I'll show you how I do. Wow, that was fucking nice. Yeah, it sounds like you're in pain.
The Polish crowd, for me, really delivered. They were singing and shouting also during Big Me, the acoustic set during Big Me. There were Mentos, like the company was giving away these inflatable balls, white balls, resembling, of course, the Mentos from the Big Me video. And when they started playing it, all the people started passing the balls around. So Dave was completely surprised. I mean, the whole band was surprised. And later, after finishing with Big Me, Dave say some things that, if you take them out of context, would be pretty funny, because he said something like, "Nice balls, Polands. Thank you for the balls. You have big balls." So it was really funny. And yeah, personally, the highlight of the evening for me was Wheels, because I love that song, and I'm really glad they brought that back. And of course, at the end of the show, I asked Dave for his wristband. I just looked at him and pointed at my wrist. And probably because he saw me singing and shouting for the whole thing, he decided that I was worth it. And he stood on the runway and pointed at me, threw it at me. He didn't target it well, but security gave it to me. And I saw a video. He just stood there, waiting for me to get it. So it was awesome. It was really, really awesome. And of course, I made a video after that. And now I've learned that Foo Fighters reposted it on Instagram. So my God. And this was 3 days before my birthday. So sorry, 2 days before my birthday. So for me, the whole thing was like a pre-birthday present. So thank you, Dave, for an amazing show. Thank you, Foo Fighters. I love you so much. There were a lot of empty seats in the stadium because apparently the gig wasn't sold out. The promoter kind of messed up, I think. But the band didn't seem to care. And apparently the Polish don't like PG Narodowy Stadium because the acoustic is really bad. But for me, the acoustics was fine. I mean, I had the speakers in my face blasting the music, and it was incredible. Also, for me, for this tour, it's pretty amazing, like the whole screen and light display. It really adds up to the whole show. So congratulations to the light engineering, because it's incredible.
So that's Maca Chocan with her verdict on the show in Warsaw on Monday. And she actually sent me that clip while she was travelling to Paris for tomorrow night's gig. If you haven't seen the Big Me video yet with the giant Mentos balls landing on the stage, go on YouTube. It is absolutely hilarious. It's complete chaos. The band are just trying to muddle through the song, but then they're ducking and diving these balls being thrown at them, and it is like a giant game of dodgeball. It is absolutely brilliant. So that's it for this week's episode, and that's the first week of the Take Cover tour in a nutshell in under half an hour, really. Hope we've given you a good flavour of what's taken place over the past week and what you've got to look forward to if you're going to any of the forthcoming shows, whether it be Paris, Liverpool or Berlin or Vienna or wherever else. And don't forget, if you do want to contribute and share your Foo Fighters concert experience, do get in touch, foosfilespod@gmail.com. Thanks for listening to Foos Files. As always, hit the follow or subscribe button on your favourite podcast app to make sure you never miss an episode. Take care, and I'll see you next time.